Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take more time to look at the spiritual elements because really a lot of times we're just attracting karmic mates, not really soul partners. Soul partners are life partners. They're twin flames. They're, significant. It's not that the relationship isn't significant. It's just, it's not long lasting. Person comes in for a day or a season and mainly just to teach you something. And so a lot of times we don't learn. So the trauma stays with us. So really, we always want to heal the effects of that trauma to stop the karmic looping. Karmic looping is just when we are like, oh, I've lived this experience before, right? So when we're stuck in a perception due to an experience, well, that's what creates imbalances. Any experience that keeps you stuck and feeling limited, not good enough, and any lower emotion, any negative emotion, which we know karmics like to stir up a lot of negative energy. They like to trigger us. I mean, they don't like to give a lot of times. And that's due to their wounds. So, understanding things from a spiritual perspective just allows you to look at things differently, to stop the ruminating and put the energy back onto that person so that we can say, well, why did I attract that person into my life? So that you can integrate the spiritual lesson and then transmute that negative energy, figure out what am I supposed to be doing? Your energy can't be in two places at one time. So, doing something different is the integration process, but the transmutation process is actually grounding that energy, really like so that we can create something, turning pain into power, right? So understanding that there's many different realities that play out at one time. A lot of times when you heal yourself, you change the entire well, automatically you change the entire dynamic of the connection. But you can actually get what you want. But the irony is you won't want what you get when you heal. That's how you know it's a karmic. Because you're like, oh, I don't see that person the same way. All right, let's see what the underlining energy is. I never know why I say what I say. I just start to say it. All right, the underlining energy tells us why everyone does what they do. Very important when you're dealing with a person that wears masks. All right, the underlining energy is exquisiteness. I got to pull another one. Disrespect. Well, you know what? It's like I feel like the tables have turned. Like at one time, you might have been like, "Oh, I really like have strong feelings for this person. I really think that this person is a like you saw the best in them, but that person really wasn't who you saw them to be. They put on a facade that that's who they were. You are someone that's really different. The connection is very different. And so I feel like the issue now is that you don't really have the feelings that you once had for that person. It's not as strong, and it's because of the disrespect. And so understand whenever someone disrespects us, it affects that second chakra. And that's all about our individuality. It's our balance. It's our birthing center. It's our passion center. It's important to know when we're healing, where I feel like the exquisiteness is you're finding your own way. I say that because spirit descending. Spirit descends when you begin to ground. So this was a really important relationship, I feel like, because they actually awoken some of your trauma, and that trauma allowed you to ground. So I feel like this is very important, a spiritual connection. That's why at one point there was a lot of passion, was a lot of caring, like you really saw that this connection could work. But I feel like this person didn't see that. Now they see it. But intimacy, intimacy is all about trust. So there's a fine line between love and hate, but I feel like that trust, and the irony now is what's going to happen is this person is going to really be determined to come back into your life, where you're going to be, I feel like, determined not to have this person in your life. So the energy has completely changed, because when you are grounded, and that's when the higher self and the spirit part of self grounds, well, your focus is not on this person anymore. That psychic connection is broken. So that is what, like, the trauma now is for this person, and it's through abandonment. So it's not uncommon for the person to not, like, all of a sudden realize that what the connection was, which is what I feel. So we're going to look and see, what does this person feel now? Do they have any regrets? Did they learn anything? Where are they on a spiritual level? What do they think? I want to know everything about you, but I hold myself back from asking. I'm afraid I'll get in too deep. So this person has a problem with intimacy, which, again, that second chakra is all about trust. It's all about intimacy. So automatically, when they got into the relationship, they never allowed you to get close. This person feels like they're not going to interfere, but they realize that fear is only an illusion. So, but this person is fearful. So if they have to keep telling themselves that they're not going to give into it, but I feel like they overthink. And part of the overthinking is based on past experiences, obviously, not the moment, and trying not to. I know in my heart we'll be together one day. That helps me trust. Let's keep working on us. So this person thinks that you guys are just like on a break. And so you might be like, this person was so disrespectful, to you. Well, it's, again, yes, this person knows that the both of your inner child wounds, like, were both triggered. And so during this separation, the healing that this person is doing is making them realize how much they do care about you, that realizing that, hey, we have a lot in common. I can feel you. So almost like separated or together, you're working in tandem with each other. And so it's on a soul's level, on a very strong spiritual level. The problem is that this person still doesn't want to be as transparent. So they say, please contact me. I may not respond, but knowing that you care opens my heart. So they're afraid of rejection, which goes back to that intimacy blockage. It's all about trust. It's all about balance. It's all about passion. There is passion, but this person wants to control the relationship. And it's like, by you showing your vulnerability, that you have to be transparent, that you have to be, which no one wants to be in a relationship like that. That's not fair. But it goes back to the inner child wounds, which is what's happening with them right now. Because you might say, well, why me? Well, the whole thing is that you have past life connections. And the past life connection is that you haven't learned things in a past life. And that's the thing. I don't think that it's all about being nice. I think it's about being true to you. When you deal with a person like this, okay, where this person doesn't want to give, they don't want to show emotion, they want to hold back. You can feel that they have feelings for you, but they want to play games, they want to be childish. So what they want to do is they want to steal your energy. If they can get you angry or mad, then the focus is still on them, and they don't have to give anything. So the whole thing is not to give, not to react. Understand, you want to react because clearly, hey, there's a past life connection. You should be acting a certain way. And I can actually feel what you think. So I don't know why you're acting the way that you're acting. It's just a form of manipulation. So this person obviously lost you in a past life. And so memories resurface of what this person should do, which is not given to fear, but they do. Please don't give up on me. I'm trying to change, but it takes time. And so obviously it's almost like this person is one of those people that says, I'm gonna fix it and then doesn't. And then doesn't fix it. That's a second chakra imbalance too. What you'll notice is procrastination. You'll notice that they can be nicer to other people. You'll be like, okay, I'm dating this person, and it's like they're gonna ignore my shit that I post up on Facebook, but they're gonna like this fucking person that you know that they're not talking to. But they'll be like, oh yeah, Mary Jane, that's a lovely dress that you're wearing, like, and you're like, oh, please. Like, but then it's like you could be wearing like a gown and the person would be like not notice, and it's just again a way to make themselves elevate. It's an inner child wound. It's the mask of the perception of I'm not going to show you intimacy, closeness. The person self-sabotages. That's the problem when there's intimacy issues. The person doesn't believe that they can have love, so they get in their own way. But understand this person can feel your energy. And what it is it's like, well, I still have feelings. And that's because the connection is a spiritual one where the universe says, well, there's something to learn. And there's something to learn about this. So it's almost like this person will always feel the pull back to you. But it's like once they even get there, they don't kind of know how to act. And it's because they never learned. They never learned. And somewhere along the line, they were taught it's not safe to be transparent. It's not safe to be able to communicate. And that's a second chakra imbalance too, where boundaries were, violated, trust, betrayal. I grew up in that type of an environment. So when I let myself go deeper into thought of you, I can feel my heart opening. Well, again, the whole point of the soul relationship is to bring the person back to God, which is love, unconditional love. And so you represent unconditional love, which obviously is a connection to the heart. And this person has a closed heart chakra, because we know that they have a closed heart chakra because they have a blocked second chakra, which means that all their chakras are blocked. So they're not very spiritually enlightened. And so that's the thing. They're coming more from a fear-based consciousness, but they don't have control because the spirit part of self is that God part of self, and the universe has a hand in everyone's connections for learning, really, and to learn love. Again, where this person will let them when they allow themselves. And the key is when they allow themselves. Second chakra, imbalance, control. Don't judge this. Just surrender. I know it's triggering, but from a higher perspective, it's clearing energy and bringing us closer together. I don't know that this person isn't saying that. It's almost like the universe is saying that, saying, don't judge this. Just surrender to the process. Is an uncomfortable process of having to be vulnerable when you have been betrayed. It's hard, like when that's all you've been taught and that's all you've been lived, and that is triggering because you have to look and see like how you contributed to it. But love makes us do things that we wouldn't do. This person has a hard time of letting go, where really spirits like almost like keeps doing this to it. Stop it. Where that person wants to control, and God's saying, stop it. Stop it. Like, because it's like you have no control. You have to surrender so you can go with the flow of life through the passion for life. And it's supposed to bring you back to love, where obviously this person longs for your kisses and your touch. Of course they do, because it's, again, There's an emotional connection. It doesn't logically make sense. This person's fighting themselves. They don't like this process to fully surrender because they're basing what might happen, what could happen. They're not in the present moment. That's what happens when we go through trauma. We begin to react from that past perception where you're like, okay, I'm not even doing any of that. It's like I'm not doing any of that. And it's very triggering for the person that's going to be around them because understand they've never felt love like this before. The depth of it is inspiring, but it's very overwhelming, which means overstimulating. This person has a block there. So again, overstimulation is too much thought, too much emotion, overstimulation to the point of exhaustion, to the point that they surrender. That's what has to happen, Spirit says, because they won't surrender then. They're fighting their ego. They think that they can control love. They think that they can control, but God says, I'm love. They're not going to be able to win. And the universe is an extension of me, and it's going to bring everything that it needs to help that person revert back to the energy of unconditional love. So understand, it's not that you're not going to be triggered the whole time. You're going to be triggered the shit like thing because it's a twin flame. If it's a twin flame connection, what makes this person actually come back is the fact that they feel you pulling away because you finally are like, I can't hold on anymore. I've done enough. Where's mine? When are you going to be here? Like, fuck you. Like, how dare you put me in this position? And Spirit says, there it is. There's your trauma that's coming up, which is what the whole dynamic of the connection's supposed to do. Those things you should be mad at. You should look at them. You should say, how did I get here? What did I do? But the thing is, Spirit says, it's a second chakra imbalance. Remember, relationships don't go too far the other way because there's love, meaning I rolled out the red carpet. I gave everything. I invited them in. They betrayed me. And then now Spirit says, now it's going to be like, now you get nothing. Now you're going to get nothing, where Spirit says a relationship teaches balance. And that's through surrender, meaning I don't really care what you did. Doesn't mean to give in to this person, date, have a life. The person needs to work their way to come back into your life. If they had that big of an ego, that's what needs to be done. But obviously that fact that you finally pulled away and like where this person never thought you would. They got too comfortable. They got too cocky because you were like, well, I knew they were wounded, so I wanted to help them. And Spirit says, yeah, but would you have gone into the used car lot and said, I only have $100? You would have driven out with maybe a car, but it would sure as hell be like a piece of crap. It's like, the person has to give. They can't come into your life handicapped, meaning like, I can't because if you love me, you'll work to get to my level. And that's so Spirit saying you aren't in your level, on your level. Again, remember the exquisiteness is this, is finally you let go. And you said, well, I'm going to put the energy into myself. So you changed your energy. But you changed your energy because of this person, because they affected you on a spiritual level. Spirit says because this person doesn't feel really deserving, to be honest with you. And it doesn't just affect them within this connection. It affects them in every area of their life, which is why they, continue to recreate the same types of experiences because they feel that way about themselves. So they want to let their guard down with you, but fear makes them lash out and self-defense and run and hide. And because again, they don't believe they're deserving of it. So once you get in there and see really truly who they are, they're either gonna lash out at you and put up the guard, or it's again, they wouldn't like you. See, it's like you won't win because the person doesn't like themselves. It has nothing to do with you. It never had anything to do with you. If anything, unfortunately, the depth of this connection makes this person have to heal. They don't want to do the healing. They're in a they're struggling with themselves to do the healing, but it's understand eventually the person's going to surrender their ego, where spirit says, I don't really care whether you're going to be with the person or not. Understand, I care whether the person gets back to the energy of unconditional love. You have free will. We have to say, well, if what is this person doing, or we would like to see, because what we see is that this person has feelings, they just don't feel that they're deserving. And but we have to say, well, why do they feel? Again, they feel that they're inadequate, and just from family patterns, growing up in an environment where maybe the parent had a hard time making money. It's not so much like the life too, but it's also how that parent made that child feel. Anger and resentment because of life is difficult, and then projecting that onto a child is what I'm feeling. So I almost feel like this person just grew up in family, in that family karma, like how we talk to each other, how we treat each other is karmic. And so they weren't treated nicely. So with that, it's like they unfortunately believe, and they tend to be impulsive, which is just very addictive energy. That's someone that doesn't think before they do things. They act from an emotional standpoint because they suppress their emotions. Again, so unconsciously, it's like, think of a person that's not emotionally intelligent and that they do things from the ego, and it gets them into trouble because no one ever cared for this person. Is so they don't recognize love because they don't love themselves. They're someone that actually is very angry, and it's because there's only two energies, love and fear. So that fear has been in there since how they grew up. How, again, that inherited family karma is inheriting anger. And that is how we would talk to each other, how we would treat each other, how we would, it's all of it, which is why this person doesn't want to surrender their ego. And they're like, oh no, I'm not going to let anybody in. It's like, I'm not going to let anybody in. If anyone wants to be in, they're going to do everything. And it's like, no, no one's going to be in a relationship with you like that. And so the universe says, well, I'm going to bring someone into your life that you're really going to have feelings for. Now, what are you going to do? So, of course, this person wanted to focus more on the physical body. They want to come in with passion. They want to come in with lust. The relationship would be empty. And you say, well, what do they do with their emotions then? What do they do? And Spirit says, what do you think that they do with their emotions? They suppress their emotions. This person feels inadequate. They feel like there's something wrong with them. So they suppress their emotions. And through, again, other addictions because of the really sadness. So this person, you can't really trust. And that's the thing, because of their own wounds. So what they do is they will never let you get that close to them, and they'll just create the illusions, and so with that, when a person isn't coming real, they're not real. They have to create the facade and hide behind the illusion to make you perceive. They're never really getting the emotional needs met, right? Because we have to have real connection to get those needs met. The universe recognizes what's real and what's not. If we're wearing a mask, the universe doesn't say, oh, look, you're wearing a mask. Oh, that you're a millionaire, so let me bring other opportunities like that. No, it can tell what's really on your heart. It's like, and so this person doesn't feel good. So what do, they take risks because they're impulsive. They don't know what they're going to do. It's like a child, like I said, someone that's emotionally not intelligent, that doesn't think before they do things. So they have a lot of sabotaging behavior because of how they grew up. It's the family patterns of feeling inadequacy, not good enough, not worthy. So of course they think, well, you're not going to think that I'm worthy. You're not going to like me because I don't like me. You can't do anything with that. That person's not going to treat you good. It's because it's all about fear and obviously paranoid. If you like me, there's something wrong with you, or you're going to leave me. And that's really, we see what we look for. And that's how this person's trauma plays out. So it's not like they don't have feelings for you. They have a lot of feelings, but unfortunately, the more feelings that a person has when they feel this inadequate, the more they get in their own way, the more sabotaging behaviorisms that come out, which is going to piss you off. It's going to be like, what are you, like an asshole? Like you just like to go out of your way to like make me feel bad? And it's like, that's like, it's unfortunate, but that's how they feel. They feel undeserving, but they have that in other areas of life too. It's anything that they love, anything that they would like to have. It's like that they can't have. And that's how that like childhood trauma plays out later on in life. If you're taught that you're unworthy, that you're not good enough, that you're not, and you're treated in alignment where that anger, that rage is there because there's mental abuse, emotional abuse, possible physical abuse, where how our parents learned to deal with stress, what they were taught about themselves. And a lot depends on it. What was going on collectively, what was going on in the family. I mean, the traumas that they lived. But we've come to a place within our evolution where we have to say, well, then why the fuck did I attract that? It's like, I don't really care about that person. No offense. But it's like, that's what it seems like. It's almost like this person sabotaged the connection because they, again, didn't treat you well. And so you get to a point where you're like, I don't care. Why, though? What am I supposed to learn? Why did I attract this person into my life? Where is the fragmented parts of me? Because I don't want to keep attracting people that don't want to show me anything, don't want to emotionally give me anything, that can't be transparent, that doesn't want to get that deep, that wants to be surface so they can betray. So when a person doesn't emotionally connect that strong, intimately, what winds up happening is, well, they can betray you. It's easy because they didn't build that emotional bond. Here, this person didn't really take the time to do that either. They were very cautious, if you notice. But God says you don't have a control over who is your soulmate. You don't have control. This person has medicine that you need. It's again, and vice versa. And so you don't have control over it. And that's why this person's so confused. And it's like battling themselves because they're such a control freak. And the fact that you're like I'm not gonna like give into it, and they still have feelings, like messes them up because they were like, I don't understand how that happened, but understand it binds them to their inner child wounds of what they need to look at, what needs to be healed. If you want to be phony, you want to give surface, you want to be an asshole, this is what you get. Because the universe says, I'm not putting up with this shit. Want to act like that? Go ahead, but don't think that you're not going to suffer. You're going to suffer. Because again, you don't have control over who you have feelings for, and so you want to sit there and wear a facade. Everybody knows that that's what you're doing. And Spirit says, well, and the reason that you need to understand, why did I attract this person into my life? If you're a mirror of whom, what happened? Well, we see abandonment, we see belittled and oppression. Those right there tell us pretty much, and the reason why is oppression is like not being able to speak, not being able to use your voice. And maybe if you did your opinions or something like I feel like for some, your parent just got triggered, everything that you said. So when a parent needs healing, they do the best that they can do. But, if they grew up with the abuse too, the problem is it affects the second chakra, because the second chakra is all about who we perceive we are. It's our true essence, our unique individuality. It's our passions for life. We can go with the flow when we're in the passion for life. We're not codependent because we can fulfill ourselves. Where feel like you weren't really allowed to like express yourself in a way that you wanted to, and it could just be my mom or dad, they didn't treat me as a friend. They really treated me like a parent, like, I mean, like a child, like I was an employee, like, you know what I mean? Like very strict, that rigidness, almost like, think of tight ass, very strict parents. So of making it very difficult to go with the flow, feeling not safe, not not being able to express yourself fully. And again, belittle could just be not so much that you were bullied by a parent, but could be seen as bullying by, oh, don't get into that. You don't need to take ballet lessons. You don't need to like wear your hair that way. You don't need to dress that way. You don't need to, again, because of their perception. And understand, parents tend to, on some level, want their children to like do well. So they're coming from their perception, though, how they see things. So, oh, you have to fit in. You have to just get along. Just put on the mask, because that's the way that they lived. So, because again, molding to society. So there was a lack of groundedness, connection to the physical body, the physical world, and really to God. Why am I here if I have to be somebody else, emulate someone else in order to fit in, do what other people want me to do? Otherwise, I'm not safe. I don't, there's no support, there's no guidance. Where spirit says guidance comes from listening to yourself. The higher self is the God part of self. Yes, we're born into families, and they do the best that they can do with like everything that they have to work with. But it's hopefully with every generation we can evolve. And the way that we evolve is to heal, and to understand that, if you were oppressed, well, then obviously, like, you need to again become yourself. You need to be an expression of self. You need to find your passion in order for that, especially if you were belittled, like, or seen to be like, well, I kind of just had to go along with like what the environment was telling me, and I'm not really liking my life as much. And so spirit says, oh, that's why you would attract a person that would give very little, because, in a way you're like, well, I hope someone comes into my life to fulfill me, because obviously I'm not satisfied as much within my life. And spirit says you're always going to get codependent then, because you don't need that. You do that for yourself. It's like, because you teach a person how you want to be treated, and you'll attract who you are. Where this person feels inadequate because they're not, that's it. But there's only two energies, love and fear. So you not being 100% fulfilled in your life and attracting a person that's inadequate kind of seems unfair, to be honest with you. But spirit says there's only two energies, love and fear. So spirit says it's about you standing on unshakable faith, trusting fully in yourself, in your path, and the universe. So again, resilience, I feel like that's a gift that you have, because it's what you grew up acquiring. And obviously it's while you're on your path, well, we're always, thrown obstacles. And so spirit says it is about having unshakable faith, because there's a space between what you sow to what you reap, and believing in your path and believing in yourself. So, and that's by becoming yourself if you haven't. But spirit says acknowledge how strong you are. Instead of saying, oh my God, this has happened to me and I don't feel safe. And I reframe what has happened, which is, wow, I'm strong. I got away from that situation that could have been a lot worse. It's like, I'm smart. Spirit says, go with conviction and knowledge, like what you've overcome within your life. And they like reframe it, because it's when we see ourselves differently, it changes the core belief, it changes the entire vibration, Spirit says. And that's really what this was about. Now go take a bold action, Spirit says. Take big steps that push you out of your comfort zone, which means go out into the world. Like, go and find yourself. It's the risks are going to be rewarding. You'll meet different people, situations, experiences, all that. You gain the wisdom to get a different response, and you're protected, Spirit saying. And now it's all about just living authentically and boldly and not afraid to be yourself, especially again if you were oppressed. If you were oppressed and belittled and bullied, well, guess what? You weren't allowed to find yourself. So, how are you supposed to attract a person that is going to, you know, uh, be a lasting partner forever if you're not in the energy, your true energy? You'll meet a person that is fulfilling for a certain amount of time, but you want to meet someone that grows with you. And if you're living authentically and boldly, and that's by taking leaps of faith and going into places that are unknown, so you get to see yourself differently, you get to have different experiences and meet new people that allow you to see yourself differently. Spirit saying, it's again, you're going to see a completely different version of yourself, and one that you're going to like a lot better. Then you can attract a person that you want, because guess what? You transform the energy. The profound change is that it's that, I don't want someone that breadcrumbs, that holds back, that can't give. You already had that energy. Spirit says then it's time to alchemize it. And you alchemize that energy by first going through the experience and then doing something different. You're doing something different. This person's not doing anything different. They're in the same exact place that they were, fighting. They're slowly going to go, but Spirit says the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and it takes longer. And it's not so much that you take this person back. It's the fact that, you learned, why did all that happen with them? Why were they like that? And it's like, oh, because they are really blocked due to how they grew up. And it doesn't matter if you don't have severe wounds. You just need to not 100% know who you are and have some fragmentation where you're like, well, I'm not 100% satisfied and I wish I could just find somebody. And then, because then I can imagine that we could go away and do passionate things, where Spirit says you can do passionate things on your own, become the energy of passion, and the right person comes into your life instead of the other way around, is what Spirit's saying. Is that's how you alchemize the energy. You do something different, and you finally release, the limiting beliefs that no longer serve you, because you grew up in a certain environment that made you perceive certain way, and you again were conditioned and did what served you at that time. But the habits and behaviorisms that helped us survive will prevent us from thriving, is what Spirit's saying. Is that's why we always have to come from the now. Only in the now do you get divine guidance, and there are infinite possibilities and boundless opportunities when you release fear. And that's what you're doing when you actually ascend life. You're letting go of the version of yourself who you thought you were, to become the person who you truly are. Otherwise, you don't evolve. You don't really see evolution. You have to see that. And that's because, you have to say, my parents grew up in a certain time period. They weren't taught My great grandparents grew up during this time. This was going on collectively. We have come to a place within our evolution that we're learning that we can actually heal ourselves to create the life and the life experiences that we want to have. This is an example of what a process looks like when you are evolving. You have to go through the experience. That's what the symbolization of walking on hot coals, going through the uncomfortable situation, but breathing through it, not reacting, dealing with it from a balanced perspective, which is what you did. And so that you can, again, live more authentically, which is to become yourself now, so you can attract exactly the types of not just people, but experiences that you want to have because you're the alchemist of your life. You're the designer of your life. So we leave off with one more that Spirit says, which is courage. Know that you are stronger than fear and bigger than doubt. You are light and remain light. Trust in God and stand tall before the tests of life. This was a test. Grow and become wiser through every challenge. You are a being of new life, and that's what evolution is. You have the power to quantum jump into a whole new reality that gives you a whole new life. But unfortunately, we do have to go through the experiences that we haven't learned. And learning isn't just about learning in the mind, but it's actually seeing ourselves differently and embodying a whole new consciousness because we're in physical form. And unless we actually do all of that healing, not just the awareness but the actual grounding, well, then we keep attracting the same types of scenarios. We don't really ever get out of that karmic loop. I'm going to leave that there. Thanks for joining me. If you resonated, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like. It's good karma. And let's see. Let's do a reading on who will be to see the future, not the old flame or the avoidant. Enough. Well, the thing is that the readings always go towards the person that needs to heal the reading, who needs to hear it. So I don't really pull that way. It's like whatever the message is, and they're shadow readings. And so if you are able to integrate the spiritual lesson, your readings become completely different, where you don't resonate long enough to listen to these readings. So because you create your own life, you're the alchemist of your life. It's to fully understand why the person acted and what you did and what you need to do to heal, which I said is going out into the world and having a love affair with yourself and really living your life, that you become the expression of love. Of course, you're going to attract a person that loves you. And guess what? You're going to teach them how you want to be treated because you're doing things differently. You're not just giving your energy because you're so fulfilled within your life that you're not giving all your time and energy to that person. Because when you're fully invested in your life, through becoming yourselves and the passions to do so, then you don't have a problem attracting people and setting boundaries, and you don't attract avoidant people. You actually heal the fragmented parts of self so you can attract the person that is not avoidant. It's like if you're asking that question, then you're missing the whole point of the channel. The whole point of the channel is that you're the alchemist of your life, that you get to do so. I just point out why those experiences happen and why you're attracting that person and how to change that energy. And yes, what that person's intention was. So you can see it has nothing to do with you. It triggered you. But this was this person's flaws, not because of you. It was triggering and made you feel that way. So again, it's the learning, and that's what it's about. It's about understanding why where this might not have been your reading today. Sometimes it comes out that the person is a good person. They're just spiritually blocked. All relationships, you're going to have blockages because we're humans, that have lessons. So not every reading, but in this reading, this was, I don't know. This person thought that it was a twin flame. I think it was more like a past life karmic mate because they never really learned the lesson. And that's what came out. But I'm going to leave that there. Let me know if you resonated. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.